Today on Inquirer, President Marcos departs for 3-day state visit to China. West Philippine Sea issue expected to be tackled.
As I leave for Beijing, I will be opening a new chapter in our comprehensive strategic cooperation with China.
Senate seeks probe on New Year technical glitch in the Philippine air traffic management system. Low-pressure area spotted outside the Philippine area of responsibility not expected to develop into a cyclone, according to Pagasa. And New Year fuel price hike. Oil companies increase gasoline prices by almost 3 pesos and diesel by more than 2 pesos. Good evening. President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. has left the Philippines for a 3-day state visit in China. Fill us in with the details. Here's Denisa Fernandez reporting live. Denisa?
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. on Tuesday departed the country to go to China for a 3-day state visit, during which the two countries are expected to strengthen trade and investment ties, as well as address security issues of mutual concern. The presidential plane left the Maharlika Villamor Air Base in Pasay City around 1:30 p.m. after Marcos delivered his departure statement and was given departure honors by troops. In his speech, Marcos vowed to pursue initiatives in key areas such as agriculture, energy, infrastructure, as well as trade and investment. Marcos said the Philippines is expected to ink more than 10 key bilateral agreements with China, which will be on top of the over 100 existing agreements between the two countries. The president also said he will push for the resumption of tourism and cultural cooperation between the Philippines and China, especially as the former is further easing COVID-19 restrictions. He also vowed to continue pursuing initiatives in priority areas to ensure food security, sufficient and stable energy, as well as programs on sustainable digital economy. She, according to the DFA, will host a dinner banquet for the Philippine delegation after his meeting with Marcos. The two countries are also seen to ink an agreement forging a direct communication line between both nations in a bid to avoid miscalculation and miscommunication in the West Philippine Sea. This will be the two leaders' second meeting after they met in Thailand last November on the sidelines of the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit. The president pushed through with a state visit despite the fresh surge of COVID-19 cases in China.
Denisa, of course, aside from the possible economic deals that we can secure from this trip, all eyes really are on the issue of the West Philippine Sea. So earlier in your report, you mentioned that there will be an agreement to avoid a miscommunication regarding this issue, right? So do we know any more details about this?
Yes, Neil, the agreement will be signed by Foreign Affairs Secretary Enrique Manalo and his Chinese counterpart Wang Yi. The accord will establish a direct communication between the two countries' foreign ministries. Aside from that, we do not have any information yet on what the agreement contains.
So President Marcos pushed through with this trip despite the surge in COVID cases there in China. So are the two leaders planning to tackle this issue of COVID-19? And for another point, what has the Philippine government said about this? Are we eyeing to close our borders maybe whatsoever?
Neil, based on details from Malacanang, the COVID-19 surge is not among the agenda. So far, the Philippines has not made any decisions or policies when it comes to quarantine or COVID-19 testing for travelers coming from China. But the Department of Health earlier ordered for the intensified monitoring and implementation of border control measures for travelers coming from China.
Okay, that's Denisa Fernandez reporting live. A fisher folk group urged President Bongbong Marcos to embody strong political will and prioritize asserting the country's rights over the West Philippine Sea during his 3-day state visit to China. Marcos will be in Beijing from January 3 to 5. Fernando Hiccup, National Chairperson of the Pambansang Lakas ng Kilusang Mamamalakaya ng Pilipinas, challenged Marcos not to miss the chance of pushing back on China's encroachment in the Philippine waters, saying all Marcos needs is strong political will. Hiccup called on Marcos to confront Chinese President Xi Jinping to stop the intimidation brought about by their militia and massive fishing vessels to Filipino fisherfolk, noting that this would yield more gains for the country than any form of foreign investment or loan. Meanwhile, Foreign Affairs Assistant Secretary Nathaniel Imperial said during a press briefing that the Department of Foreign Affairs intends to formalize a direct communication with its Chinese counterpart during Marcos's state visit. This is to prevent a future miscalculation and miscommunication in the West Philippine Sea. Two resolutions seeking to look into the technical glitch in the Philippine Air Traffic Management System have been filed in the Senate. Senate Majority Leader Joel Villanueva and Senator Jinggoy Estrada filed Senate Resolution numbers 390 and 392, directing the appropriate Senate committee to investigate the matter. The technical error, supposedly due to a power outage in the Philippine Air Traffic Management Center, resulted in the cancellation, diversion, and postponement of flights on New Year's Day. According to Villanueva's resolution, failure to address airspace traffic management may impact domestic trade and business transactions. He added that the incident may hinder the continuous promotion of tourism in the country. Villanueva also noted that the Ninoy Aquino International Airport has been considered as the worst international airport for 3 years from 2011 to 2013. In his resolution, Estrada said the air traffic control system mess worsens the unpleasant image of NAIA. Estrada noted that the paralysis in NAIA highlights the necessity to establish more sophisticated technologies. To fully equip the nation's main gateway, Estrada said there is a need to identify the infrastructure and support from the government and/or private sector to modernize NAIA. Meanwhile, the Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines said it welcomes a Senate investigation on the incident. CAAP Deputy Director General Edgardo Diaz has said they are willing to talk about the matter with senators and will cooperate in the probe.
Kami po ay nakahanda. We welcome all the inquiries po na gagawin ng ating anumang sektor ng ating gobyerno po, no? Mapasenado o sa ating mga kasamahan po sa gobyerno. Open po kami dyan. We are willing to talk with them and to show them whatever they wanted. No? So, nakahanda po tayo dyan at wini-welcome po natin yan.
Amid allegations of fund diversion, former Department of Transportation Secretary Art Tugade said he had, quote, always instructed a backup system to the communications, navigation, surveillance, air traffic management systems of the Civil Aviation Authority of the Philippines. The air traffic management system encountered problems on January 1, which delayed or canceled more than 300 flights and affected more than 55,000 passengers. In a message to the Inquirer, Tugade said he has always instructed a redundancy plan, adding that CAAP officials during his time as DOTR chief cannot deny this. On the allegations that he did not spend or diverted 13 billion pesos in funds away from modernizing the CNS ATM or putting in place the backup system, Tugade said that this is farthest from the truth. The online news portal Billionario.com carried a story on that allegation. The premium rate hikes of the Philippine Health Insurance Corporation or PhilHealth may be imposed after the country's inflation declines at a more comfortable level, according to Senate President Juan Miguel Zubiri. Zubiri said this on Tuesday as he commended President Ferdinand Marcos Jr.'s order for PhilHealth to suspend the premium rate hike this year. Marcos ordered the deferral of the scheduled hike in the PhilHealth premium rate from 4% to 4.5% and the income ceiling from 80,000 pesos to 90,000 pesos this year. In a message to reporters, Zubiri said Marcos's move would ease the public's burdens in these difficult times, coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic. He said the premium rate hikes may be established after the inflation rate is brought down to a more comfortable level in the near future. The country's inflation jumped to a 14-year high of 8% in November 2022. With the rate hike suspension, Zubiri said that workers will have a larger take-home pay. A low-pressure area outside the Philippine area of responsibility is not expected to develop into a cyclone, according to the State Weather Bureau. To tell us more about this, joining us live is Pagasa weather forecaster Ezra Bolkering. Ezra?
Ayos po, magandang gabi sa inyo at sa lahat ng nanonood. Makulimlim na panahon yung mararanasan dyan sa May Albay, Sorsogon, Masbate, Romblon, Palawan, Basilan, Sulu, Tawi-Tawi, yung buong Visayas kasama po yung Caraga, Davao Region, Northern Mindanao at Zamboanga Peninsula dahil dun sa low pressure area, yung trough net or yung extension. So itong low pressure area po na ito, outside Philippine area of responsibility, yung extension ay nagdadala ng makulimlim na panahon na may kalat-kalat na mga pag-ulan at pagkilat-pagkulog. And as of now, mababa naman po yung chance na mag-develop into a tropical depression in the next 24 hours. Samantala, yung amihan o yung northeast monsoon ay patuloy na umiiral na kung saan nagdadala ito ng makulimlim na panahon na may mga pag-ulan dito sa atin sa Metro Manila, Calabarzon, Cagayan Valley, Aurora, yung nalalabing bahagi ng Bicol Region at yung sa Mimaropa area. Pero for the rest of the country, fair weather condition. Pero may mga mararanasan dyan mga isolated rain showers and thunderstorms, especially pagdating po ng hapon at gabi.
Sir Ezra, ilang katanungan lamang. Inaasahan po ba natin pumasok ng Philippine Area of Responsibility itong low pressure area na ating binabantayan?
Well, sa ngayon, mababa po yung chance na pumasok ito ng PAR as well as mag-develop into tropical depression in the next 24 hours. So, most likely yung trough or yung low pressure yung trough ng low pressure area, yun yung magdadala ng makulimlim na panahon for the next 2 days.
Anong mga rehiyon, Sir Ezra, itong maapektuhan itong LPA? Bagaman nasabi ninyo na hindi papasok nga itong LPA, yung kanyang buntot, maaari pa rin magdala ng pag-ulan sa ilang parte ng bansa. Ano, sir? Pwede niyo po bang ulitin, sir, kung ano-anong rehiyon o kaya parte ng ating bansa ang maapektuhan itong LPA?
Yes, mostly sa buong Visayas, yan po yung makakaranas ng mga pag-ulan as well as yung Mindanao. So yung west and then yung central part ng Mindanao, yan po yung kadalasan na or maapektuhan ng husto nitong trough ng low pressure area.
Sir, dito sa Metro Manila, nakakaranas rin tayo ng pag-ulan. Itong buong maghapon na ito, talaga namang on and off yung pag-ulan na ating naranasan. Hanggang kailan natin inaasahan itong maulan na panahon dito sa Metro Manila?
Well, possibly until tomorrow, makaranas pa rin po tayo ng mga pag-ulan. Tulad nitong mga pag-ulan na naranasan natin, dala ng amihan. So mostly, sa nakikita natin, pagdating ng hapon tomorrow, in-expect naman natin na gradually nagaganda na po yung panahon.
Huling tanong na lang, sir, marami sa ating mga kababayan gustong enjoyin pa yung malamig na panahon. Hanggang kailan natin inaasahan itong malamig na panahon bago tayo pumasok sa kumbaga tinatawag nating tag-init o summer season?
Well, itong northeast monsoon natin, usually nagpitik siya ng February. And then pagdating ng March, doon na po siya unti-unting humihina or nagte-terminate na po tayo na amihan pagdating po ng March or April. So possibly pagdating po ng April, doon na po yung start ng ating dry season naman.
Okay. Maraming salamat, sir. That's Pag-asa weather forecaster Ezra Bolkering. Local oil firms jack up pump prices of diesel and kerosene, marking the first round of price hikes. Effective January 3, the prices of gasoline increased by 2 pesos and 90 centavos per liter, while diesel prices will rise by 2 pesos and 10 centavos per liter. Meanwhile, the prices of kerosene saw an increase of 3 pesos and 5 centavos per liter. This latest round of price increases for diesel, gasoline, and kerosene followed the rollback in the prices of liquefied petroleum gas and auto LPG products, which began on Sunday. Alamin naman natin ang mainit na balita sa mundo ng showbiz kasama si Irvin Santiago ng Bandera. Irvin?
Hi Neil at sa lahat ng mga kabandera natin all over the universe, ito na nga ang latest Bandera Chika. Balak mo bang magnegosyo ngayong 2023? O feeling mo ito na ang maswerte mong taon para magka-jowa o magka-love life ulit? Ano-ano nga bang signs o senyales ang dapat mong intayin at gawin? O ano-anong mga kulay ang dapat mong isuot para mas paswerte ka sa pagpasok ng Year of the Water Rabbit? Kung isa ka sa mga naniniwala sa feng shui at mga astrologer, maaari mong gawing gabay ang mga tips at advice ng feng shui expert na si Master Hans Kua para mas bumongga ang iyong 2023. Unang-una, ang lucky color daw ngayong Year of the Water Rabbit ay blue. Mahina ang water element kaya ang pagsusot ng blue ay makaka-attract ng good luck. Anya pa, ang little touches of blue ay pwedeng gamitin hindi lamang sa mga damit, kundi pati na rin sa mga kagamitan sa bahay. Pero ang paalala ni Master Hans, hindi naman kailangang araw-araw ay nakasuot ng blue. Pasok din sa banga ngayong 2023 ang pagsusuot ng alahas, white, gold, silver, or gray. Sa Chinese astrology kasi, the metal produces water daw, at kapag nalusaw ang bakal, it produces water. Para naman sa mga nagbabalak magtayo ng negosyo this year, swerte raw ang mga business na may connect sa fire, tulad ng food, restaurants, at social media. Patok pa rin ang video blogging at anumang may kinalaman sa electric power o energy sources ngayong taon ng Water Rabbit. May 5 animal signs din daw na super lucky ngayong 2023. Yan ang dog, goat, pig, horse, at rat. Ang Year of the Dog daw ang pinakamaswerte dahil best friend nito ang Water Rabbit. Nasa kanya raw ang pinakamalaking opportunity star. Ang Year of the Goat naman ang number 2 sa pinakamaswerte dahil nasa kanila naman ang victory star. Ngayong 2023 rin daw ang taon kung saan perfect ang magkaroon ng baby o magpakasal ang mga isinilang sa Year of the Pig, Goat at Sheep. Samantala, pinayuhan din ni Master Hans ang lahat ng gustong magka-jowa this year na magsuot ng pink underwear at magsindi ng 4 na pink candle sa gitna ng kanilang mga bedroom. Sa mga lalaking single naman, magsuot daw ng pink underwear at lagyan ng picture ng rabbit na sign daw ng Playboy of Charisma. At para mas mapatatag pa ang relasyon ng mag-asawa, sa halip na pink, magsuot daw ng pulang underwear para mas mapainit pa ang pagsasama. Pero tulad ng laging paalala ng mga astrologer at feng shui expert, kailangan pa rin ng sipag, tiyaga, determinasyon at dasal para magtagumpay sa buhay. At yan ang Bandera Chika natin for today. Thanks, Neil!
Ako, sana maging maswerte ang 2023 nating lahat. Salamat, Irvin! And these are the stories you need to know today. I'm Neil Mercado. Follow INQUIRER.net on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, and Reddit. For more stories, visit INQUIRER.net. Good evening.